The Miami Heat were relatively quiet early in the offseason, but their recent moves have seen a significant boost to their overall roster strength, even putting them in a position to be a competitive side in the East. One of the biggest aspects that has changed for the Heat going into the new season is the average squad age. With Jimmy Butler leaving the team at the trade deadline last season and players like Kevin Love being traded this offseason, Miami has shifted to a younger core. With 32-year-old Norman Powell being the oldest player on the team, it is abundantly clear that this Heat team is served by youth. Led by a young star duo of Bam Adebayo and Tyler Herro, this Heat squad is primed to grow and develop into a contender. With several young members on this team, we break down the age distribution of the players across the roster. Norman Powell, 32 years old. Terry Rozier, 31 years old. Andrew Wiggins, 30 years old. Simone Fontecchio, 30 years old. Haywood Highsmith, 29 years old. Bam Adebayo, 28 years old. Davion Mitchell, 27 years old. Tyler Herro, 26 years old. Jamie Jaquez Jr., 24 years old. Pelle Larsson, 24 years old. Kashad Johnson, 24 years old. Nikola Jovic, 22 years old. Kel'el Ware, 21 years old. Kasparas Giannis, 19 years old. Average age, 26.2 years old. The most intriguing aspect of this team is that, by definition, the Heat aren't a young team. Although they have young talent with players like Kel'el Ware, Nikola Jovic, and their rookie Kasparas Giannis, most of their primary rotation players are experienced. The likes of Norman Powell and Andrew Wiggins have been in the league long enough to be considered veterans, while still being in their primes. Wiggins even brings championship pedigree, making him a significantly valuable veteran. Simone Fontecchio adds valuable depth with his defensive upside and experience. Other players like Terry Rozier have played for multiple teams in their career, enough to be considered reliable veterans off the bench in some contexts. Miami's star pair may be young, but they are far from being inexperienced. Having made it to the NBA Finals twice in the span of the last 5 years, both Adebayo and Herro are talented players with scope for further development as franchise cornerstones. At 28 years old, Adebayo is just entering his physical prime. This reflects in his performance as well. As one of the best two-way players in the league, the Heat center averaged 18.1 points, 9.6 rebounds, and 4.3 assists per game. He also put up 1.3 steals and 0.7 blocks while anchoring Miami's defense. Herro has also taken a massive step in improvement over the past 2 seasons. With a significant rise in his scoring productivity, the 26-year-old recorded an average of 23.9 points, 5.2 rebounds, and 5.5 assists as Miami's primary scoring option and facilitator. Going further down the order, younger players like Davion Mitchell, Jamie Jaquez Jr., and Pelle Larsson have been viewed in high regard by the organization. The team recently re-signed Mitchell with high expectations of him becoming a key rotation piece. Jaquez Jr. is considered an untouchable asset in trade talks. Meanwhile, Larsson showed signs of development as an offensive player in the summer league. He's expected to earn more minutes in the regular season. Powell's addition will help boost their backcourt rotation and scoring strength. But it is the development of Ware as a big man that the Heat will be looking forward to. With teams such as the Boston Celtics and the Indiana Pacers falling off due to injuries sustained by key players on their rosters, Miami could have an opportunity to establish itself as a powerhouse. With the potential to feature one of the most balanced starting lineups in the league, along with relevant contributors off the bench, this Heat team could be a dark horse in the Eastern Conference. Miami Heat All-Star Bam Adebayo is giving fans a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. He is set to hold an event that allows fans to train with him from August 14th to 18th at Body Holiday in St. Lucia. This program is a way to share what helps me stay focused, on and off the court, and how that approach can be adapted into someone else's routine, Adebayo said to the Carib Journal. Especially in a setting like Body Holiday, where wellness is part of the environment. Body Holiday is a beach resort that focuses on wellness. Fans get this experience with Adebayo at rates that start at $799 per night, which includes daily spa treatment. Adebayo is also hosting a meet and greet for participants. It is likely the last getaway for Adebayo, who begins his 9th season NBA season this fall. The Heat open training camp in late September. A 3-time All-Star, Adebayo hopes to lead them to another postseason appearance. Last year they won in the play-in tournament before losing to the number 1 seeded Cleveland Cavaliers in the first round of the Eastern Conference playoffs. The Heat made the big offseason acquisition of guard Norman Powell from the Los Angeles Clippers. He now pairs with Adebayo and All-Star guard Tyler Herro, giving the Heat 3 potential 20-point scorers. The majority of the player movement for the offseason is pretty much in the books, but one big-name free agent is still technically on the open market. And if the Miami Heat truly wanted to make a splash move this summer, the opportunity to surprisingly make a move for Jonathan Kuminga still very much exists. According to ESPN's Shams Charania, it's the Sacramento Kings and Phoenix Suns who have been the most serious of late about a move for Kuminga, but the Heat did have some level of interest in the budding star earlier in the offseason. At this point, you can't help but wonder if Miami may kick the tires and revisit those talks if there's a chance Kuminga could be had for the right price. Shams also added that Kuminga is in no rush to sign a deal with the Golden State Warriors, leaving the door even more slightly open for a team like the Heat to jump in last minute. Should the Heat revisit the Kuminga talks? At this point, the biggest headache appears with teams negotiating with the Warriors. After all, Kuminga is a restricted free agent and, with all the free agency money dried up across the league, would have to make his way to a new team via sign and trade. The Warriors are seemingly playing hardball at the moment. Assuming this is the case, it wouldn't hurt the Heat to check back in with Golden State. Of course, that's if the Heat still has genuine interest in Kuminga. If the price is low enough, I'd imagine that would be the case. Admittedly, that's pretty difficult to admit one way or another right now. But if there's a scenario in which the Heat wants to go rogue and take a flyer on Kuminga, and he's willing to take a team-friendly deal, perhaps it would be worth Miami jumping back in on the sweepstakes. While it hasn't been clear how interested the Heat actually were in Kuminga earlier this summer, there was some smoke surrounding this possibility. And generally in the NBA, where there's smoke, there's fire. Knowing that the Heat likes to do much of its work in the shadows, it would not be the least surprising if they were back-channeling a bit. In the end, the price tag for Kuminga from the Warriors might be too high, and maybe they're not willing to sacrifice future financial flexibility for him. That would be totally fair and understandable. However, if the Heat did still want to make a big splash before the start of the 2025-26 NBA season, Kuminga is still surprisingly right there for the taking.